It's here, Bear. Looks
It
like
is here.
we wore our neutral colors.
Yes, we're
today.
neutral this week for the battle for the Monterey Rock.
Both teams 1-3. Craig and Parker playing on the
Must
gridiron
win.
Friday night.
Must win for one of them if they want to get in the playoffs. That's for sure.
I would think so. The schedules do get a little bit easier here, so somebody can build some momentum.
They're going to have to.
You need this one, otherwise you're going to have to pretty much win out.
You are exactly right, and especially for Parker because Middleton's on the docket next week. So they are in must-win mode, and for the Cougars, got to find a way to get the defense off the field. That's the key for them.
We'll break down the battle for the Rock, a couple other high school games. We've got obviously some Week 1 NFL reactions.
We do.
Maybe talk a little bit of Badgers, although we're in the doldrums here of the non-conference
cupcake
season.
schedule, yeah.
So we'll cover pretty much mostly football probably this week, but you can join us here. Stick around for this week's episode of Xtra Points. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's Xtra Points. That's John Barry. I'm Eric Schmoltz. We get together every week to talk about the biggest sports stories around here in Wisconsin and in Janesville. And
Anywhere.
we don't need to really...
Not much more needs
Not
to be
much
said.
more needs to be said
No.
other than we got Craig and Parker this week. And all the rivalry matchups really have come in about a week and a half span. We had tennis last week, golf this week, swimming on Thursday,
Yep.
football on Friday, and then next week soccer and volleyball. So all the crosstown matchups kind of come at us in a hurry.
They do, and your alma mater, the Cougars, have the upper hand over my alma mater, the Vikes. Won the last four, but a
That's
couple
on
of
the
close
football
games.
field we're talking here,
Yes,
yeah.
on the football field. And those games, a couple of them been close, and I would expect much of the same Friday night. I just think it's two teams that still kind of reaching for an identity, trying to find themselves, and I think for Parker, it's a matter of just getting that offense rolling and putting up some points. And for the Cougars, it's like we talked about in the introduction. It's getting that defense off the field, and because I think their offense is good enough to score points and keep it close.
Both teams are 1-3. They both beat Madison East. They both lost to La Follette. And they've played the tougher teams.
Right.
They've played this one. They've
Sun
played Sun Prairie.
Parker played
Parker's
Verona.
played Verona. Craig's played Middleton. I mean, those are the teams that are at the top, and we think will probably stay at the top of the Big 8 standing. So the Big 8 schedule is not ever easy, but
Nope.
it's going to be a little easier down the stretch. So I guess the key this week is to get to one of them. Whoever wins gets to 2-3, knowing that there are some not easy games, but
Right.
maybe easier games coming
Right.
here up down the stretch.
And it's a little bit what I talked with Ben McCormick about last week when Craig was getting ready to host Middleton. He said, this isn't a must-win game for us. He goes, I know Middleton's a better team. We've got some kids that are banged up. He goes, we're not going to do anything outrageous. It's going to be pretty vanilla and just try to keep it close. It got a little bit away from him at the end, but he said our season starts the following Friday, meaning this Friday against Parker, and he's right because the Cougars, they played the good teams. They've still got Verona, obviously, but, I think Ben thinks at least 4 of those 5 games are very winnable.
I mean, you got West, Memorial, Beloit
Beloit.
still on the schedule. I mean,
Yep.
those obviously none of those are just gimme games
Nope,
anymore.
not at all.
But you like your chances of maybe
You
a
do.
little bit better. To me, it's kind of like I don't want to read too much into what coaches say after games, but it's a little bit of a difference because it seems like Craig, even though they've been on the wrong end of some lopsided scores the last
Right.
2 weeks, McCormick does feel pretty optimistic about where things have been. That defense still giving up some points, but they haven't been helped with field position and special teams these last 2 weeks. And, I really would have thought things could have been worse against
Right.
some of those good offenses. And Parker, on the other hand, I think we and a lot of people expected them maybe to be maybe in the mix or at least a dark horse contender in this league. And they've kind of sputtered out of the gate a little bit. And you just wonder if the frustrations have set in.
Yeah.
And you wonder, this week, you kind of got to try to put all that aside and just say, we just have to win this game.
Well, if you can't get up for Parker Craig, then you shouldn't be out for the sport or any sport for that matter. And I think in the sense of Parker, when you look at last week, I think that's the first time that Coach Clayton Krieger was disappointed in the effort. He just didn't feel like they came ready to play. He said they had a poor week of practice. And he said, these kids got to realize you got to be ready to play on that opening kickoff or you're going to find out it's going to be a tough road. And the Vikings found that out as Sun Prairie really handled them pretty easily that game, and I don't think anyone expected that. And so, again, you bounce back to Parker Craig. It's the game of the year, especially for the seniors, because you spend the rest of your life with bragging rights. Hey, how'd you do your senior year in football? I don't remember, but we beat Craig, or we lost to Parker, or whatever it might be. And, that's what it comes down to. And I think for Craig, with Nick Kramer and Sweeney and those other kids, they're going to score some points. It's just a matter of, can they keep Parker from scoring more? And it sounds silly because it's basic math, but it could be a track meet, or again, we could both be surprised and it's low scoring.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was something like 20 to
No,
14 or
I
something
wouldn't either.
like that.
Not at all.
And I don't know. I'm having a hard time even trying to pick which way I think it's going to go.
Yeah, I haven't picked it. I've talked a little bit about the game in my football weekend, but no, I haven't made a choice yet. And I think if I had to pick right now, I would probably go with Parker, just based on, I think their defense is a little stronger. But the way Craig is able to score points, and you throw in a turnover or a special teams play or something like that, then the Cougars could certainly find a way to win.
The other thing, Craig was missing some offensive linemen, and Noah Berghammer was out, and I think some of that maybe was a little precautionary.
It was,
but also you don't know.
No.
You have to get those guys back in the mix.
You do. And for Parker, obviously with Vance and let's face it, they laid an egg. I mean, they just did not show up to play against a very good Sun Prairie team, and they've got to right the ship, or their season's going to be over.
I think we're both leaning toward Parker, but this is on a Tuesday.
Yeah, this is on a Tuesday, and
it could change our minds before Friday gets here.
If we came back next week and Craig won 21-0, I wouldn't be stunned by it. No, not at all.
Should mention they are doing a little halftime ceremony. They're naming the press box after former sports editor Dave Wiedeward and sports radio
Guru,
host, play-by-play morning
Al
man
Fagerly,
Al Fagerly, and so that'll be kind of cool at halftime.
I think those two guys got more combined years in service than probably the age of Monterey press box. So hats off to both of them. Dave was my mentor when I took this job and did so many things for me. And Al Fagerly, I sat next to him over hundreds and hundreds of football, basketball, and baseball games. So a great honor for both of those two, and a good chance for the community to just show them their love and support by getting down there this Friday to watch what we think is going to be a good game.
Looking around the area at other football matchups, the one that really stands out to me this week is Badger at Delavendarian. Both teams 2-0 in the Lakes Conference, and I always like these weird matchups where the biggest school from the conference plays against the little guy, especially when they're both having some success. So it's going to be kind of an interesting game to see who, the ground and pound offense of Badger against the Delavendarian offense that has been locked and loaded kind of through the air.
Right.
A lot of things going on in this game.
There are, and it starts with Badgers won 5 straight in the series, and Matt Hensler got that team to the state semifinals last year, which not many of us expected. So you know what you're going to get with Badger. You're going to get that ground control option offense that likes to pound it and run clock, and then you turn the tables with Delavan. And I got a chance to look at Jake Benzing and what he's done. He's second in the state with 16 touchdowns. He's tied for 5th with yards per game, and he's 5th in passing yards for the entire state. So obviously, it starts with them, but there's so many other weapons that he's got to deal with. And when I talked to Brett St. Arnold earlier today, he said, I would not want to prepare for our offense, because he said, I don't know who you try to stop. And he said, since Jake has really rebounded from the knee injury that bothered him a little bit the first couple games, he said, since he's pretty much healthy and 100%, he's been a different player. And he said he just continues to take it to another level.
And if that offensive line can give him some time to operate, then that's when he really can kind of get things going. And that's and the big little games, as we were talking about, that's kind of where things maybe sometimes are won in the trenches, because Badger with bigger numbers, then they're going to have bigger.
Choose from.
Right. Yep. So it's probably the challenge will be trying to stop their front.
It will, and Coach St. Arnold said it best. He said, we can't turn the ball over because Badger will not beat themselves. He says they hang on to the ball. They like to force a lot of turnovers, and they have a lot of success doing that. And he said we have to be able to take care of the ball and make the plays that are available. And he said I'm confident that we're going to do that.
In the Badger South, we've got Milton hosting Monroe. The Cheesemakers.
The Cheese
are back. They're back, baby. Beat Monona Grove on Friday night.
Yeah, great win for the Cheesemakers, a program that certainly with Pat Martin in the 80s was as dominant as you'd find in the state. But good for them to come back and get to this level. And, really the Badger South down a little bit this year, I think, overall, because Monona Grove's 2-2. The other two-time defending champ, Melton's 1-3 and hasn't won a conference game yet. Their one win was in the crossover game. So, a chance for the Red Hawks to get things head in the right direction. And, nothing better than to knock off an unbeaten, and the Redhawks will have that chance Friday night. I'm looking forward. I haven't had a chance to see them play yet, but obviously a very good Monroe team coming into town.
When you look at the Rock, most of the battles are kind of between the haves and the have-nots a little bit. We've got a 5-way tie at the top at 3-1, so things are a bit crazy there. I guess the matchup that stands out is Clinton at Jefferson, because those are the two one-loss teams that are going after each other. But right now, I mean, the way Clinton has played the last 3 weeks, they just look unstoppable.
It's crazy, and it's not just offensively. I mean, I think they've outscored their last 4 opponents or 3 opponents. It's ridiculous numbers, and
it's like 150 to 10
or something like that. It's crazy. So it's happening on both sides of the ball, and Coach Spivak will tell you that it's a matter of kids buying into not only the program and what they're trying to do, but buying into each other, and kind of coming together as one. And he said, there's a team that come playoff time, boy, if they get in Division 5, I wouldn't want to play them
after getting all these tests. I mean, they've got probably the easiest schedule of all these 3-1 teams that are left. So. You have to like where Clinton sits right now.
I do, yeah.
And we'll see. I don't know. I think we'll still have a pretty good amount of teams tied at the top there. At least 3, if not 4.
If not 4, right.
So we're gonna have to watch the Rock Valley down the stretch here, but it's gonna be
interesting.
Let's shift to the pros.
Okay.
What takeaways? I guess we better start with the Packers around here. But takeaways from the win over the Jaguars. I don't think the score was about what I expected, and the game, it was entertaining. It was good.
It was, and I think it's, let's face it, style points don't matter. A W is a W, and you can say what you want about the offense didn't look great and the defense kind of didn't break, but they got to win. And a big game coming up Sunday in Minneapolis. I think you're going to see Sam Bradford for the first time, and even Aaron Rodgers a couple times even said, I don't think he said anything publicly, but you could tell that the play calling puzzled him a little bit, especially on the 1st and goal at the 6 where they didn't throw the ball once, and you just kind of wonder, how vanilla do you want to be that first week? But again, the heat was stifling. They got out of there with a win, and
I think the Jaguars are going to be
better, and they've got good receivers, and Bortles is gotten better. So a good win for the Packers. Certainly things to work on, but it's week 1. I mean, and
I thought Eddie Lacy looked pretty good.
I thought Lacy looked good. Nelson looked like he's going to be okay.
Nick Perry on defense had a big game.
Big game, yeah. And like I say, that division, surprisingly, Detroit goes on the road and wins. Minnesota goes on the road and wins. The Bears, who you and I both felt weren't going to be very good, gets clobbered. And
the Lions probably the surprise there.
They were. And Matt Stafford has done good things. He just hasn't done great things. And maybe this is a year without Kelvin. They don't rely on somebody so much that they spread the wealth, because a lot of guys get into the act for them with Abdullah and Riddick and Golden Tate and Jones and everybody else. I mean, they got everybody involved, and that's what you got to do in that kind of offense, is spread the field.
I guess the other big takeaway for me in the week was New England. Go on the road to a team that probably has a chance in the NFC to be a Super Bowl contender, and they win without Brady, without Gronk, without Ninkovich.
And really, can I just say that I had Arizona in my survivor pool, I'm out already.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, most people in my
league.
Never
bet against the Patriots.
Most people had Seattle, which they won in the last minute.
Right.
So I went the wrong way. I couldn't take them against my Dolphs. But no, I mean, and
it was an exciting first week because
all
those games were close.
And last night's game, the Rams are terrible.
Yikes.
They are bad.
Now they play the Seahawks. I was thinking they might be shut out 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it was ugly last night. I turned it off finally. But yeah, I think the NFL. It's just it's good to be back. It's good to have college on Saturday and the pros on Sunday, and a Monday night game and a Thursday night game, and it's just nice to be back in the swing of things, and football's back.
In the college ranks, how about Whitewater? They were losing.
They were losing to Belhaven, but then they turned on the turnover machine and started producing pastry after pastry, and ran it up to 56. And they're off this week. They conclude their non-conference portion next week, and then it's in the WIC, and I look for the Warhawks to contend, obviously.
Yeah. Bye week this week. Do the Badgers basically have a bye week this week as well?
Georgia State yes.
coming to town.
Yep. And then the one thing that stood out is our Janesville Jets start this week.
That's right.
Friday night. They host the Minnesota Wilderness, and that 3-week off season's over.
That's pretty much what it is, isn't it? Especially with their camp that they have, like 4th of July, to get all the new players and whatnot.
But like I say, and for people out there, I know Friday nights are a little different with things going on, and certainly the Parker Craig game. But Saturday night, Badgers play at 11. get a chance, just get down to Janesville Ice Arena and watch kids that are just working hard to try to make that next step and play collegiate hockey, because it's fun and it's what you make of it, and it's a fun family night, and we would both advise to give it a chance and just see what it's like.
Early in the season is kind of tough. They're still
Yep.
kind of building their roster.
They are.
Usually, there's a showcase next week in Minnesota where that's really kind of the big kickoff of the season. So these are kind of like get your feet wet kind of weeks here, and then get the roster solidified for the long regular season.
For the
really just
92 game regular season that they have that concludes in
60
June.
games, I think
60 is all.
games.
Okay.
We'll have more on the Jets. We can kind of break down how all the Parker Craig things kind of went down next week.
Yep.
And obviously the football game. You can follow along on Twitter or check us out at GazetteExtra.com for all the scoring updates. And as far as the show goes, you can leave us a comment on YouTube or iTunes, or email us at sports@GazetteExtra.com. Anything else on your mind?
Just thanks to Miss Angela again for some fine work today. And
Fawn, way to go. You've never been here. Doesn't show up.
He doesn't like us anymore. And,
but we still got it done.
We did.
And we'll be here again next week to let you know everything shook out. So join us then, and go Bucky.
Go Bucky.
See you then, everybody.